and welcome to the latest edition of SolarPV TV's Global Weekly News, powered by PV Magazine and Solar United. Coming up in this week's edition, as our top story, SunEdison signs an MOU to build a $4 billion solar factory in India. In market and policy updates, IHS predicts that the global solar PV market will grow to 53 gigawatts in 2015. Falling oil prices have little to no effect on solar demand. Mercom reports that solar investments rose in 2014. China calls for further consolidation in its PV industry. Deutsche Bank predicts improved solar margins in 2015. BNEF reports a rebound in clean energy investments. And SolarPV TV pays its respect to Günther Kramer. Business headlines. Inotec Solar acquires Energiebau. Brazil invests in solar manufacturing. Mounting Systems acquires Haticon. Neo Solar Power revenues grow in 2014. Morocco has awarded contracts to an aqua consortium to build 350 megawatts of solar CSP. Motec revenues fall 6% in 2014. GCL signs contracts to build 200 megawatts of solar PV in China. Fotovatio secures funding for a 65 megawatt solar project in Uruguay. Trina Solar puts online a 90 megawatt solar PV project. Technology news. Japan will create an incentive program for energy efficiency and energy storage. Hanwha Q-Cells will evaluate Soleitex ALD tools, and South Korean researchers set a new record with perovskites. Starting with top story. SunEdison has signed a memorandum with India's Adani Group towards the construction of a $4 billion integrated solar factory in the Indian state of Gujarat. The factory will be the largest built in India to date and will cover the entire value chain, including polysilicon, wafer, solar cell, and module production. SunEdison expects to begin ramping the factory within 18 months and to reach full output in 3 or 4 years. SolarPV TV spoke with Mercom Capital CEO Raj Prabhu about the planned factory and the future of India's solar industry.
Looking from a solar perspective, though, Mercom is forecasting India to install less than a gigawatt in 2014 and less than 2 gigawatts in 2015. So the question is, where is the market in the short term for such a big manufacturing plant? To me, this looks more like a public relations press release put out to please the government with a big dollar investment announcement so that the government officials can go back and say, this was a huge success. And it's also just an MOU with a vague timeline. And also, they made a couple other larger announcements, like in Rajasthan and Karnataka, about 4 or 5 gigawatts of installations. We just want to see how all this pans out and follow it closely.
In market and policy updates. IHS has forecast that the global solar market will grow by up to 25% in 2015 to reach 53 gigawatts. The company expects continued growth in both the Chinese and US markets, as well as growth in concentrated photovoltaic technology and the tripling of grid-tied PV storage installations. A number of analysts are reporting that the recent collapse in oil prices will have little or no effect on solar PV demand. Petroleum currently supplies only 5% of the global electricity supply and less in the top solar markets of China and the United States. Deutsche Bank calculates that even with $50 per barrel oil prices, solar is still cheaper than petroleum-fired electricity in many regions. Global corporate funding in the solar sector rebounded in 2014, according to the latest report by Mercom Capital. The company reports a particularly strong recovery in venture capital investments and stresses the improvement in capital markets, noting that solar companies were able to access record volumes of capital through multiple avenues. The Chinese government has issued guidelines for further consolidation in the nation's solar industry, calling for only 10 large PV module makers by the end of 2017. China's Ministry of Industry and Information Technology has not said which 10 companies it expects to remain, but says that these will supply 70 to 80% of domestic demand. Deutsche Bank has predicted growing profitability and a stable supply and demand balance in the solar industry in 2015. In a recent research note, the company argues that solar is becoming an increasingly important part of the global energy supply mix and names the US market and financial innovation, including yield costs, as positive factors. BNEF reports a rebound in clean energy investments in 2014, driven by both large-scale and distributed solar. The company reports that overall investments rose 16% to $310 billion during the year, with growth in Asia and the Americas offsetting an ongoing slump in Europe. And as a break from our regular programming, SolarPV TV would like to take a moment to pay our respect to one of the pioneers of the energy transition, Günther Kramer, who passed away after a long illness. In the words of the founder, longtime CEO, and supervisory board chairman of inverter giant SMA, we should all be realists and attempt the impossible. Business headlines. PV module producer Innotek Solar has acquired German solar wholesaler Energiebau, rescuing the company from insolvency in the process. The new Energiebau Solar Power says that it will reduce its product portfolio to adapt to current market conditions. Brazilian Development Bank has made its first investment in solar manufacturing. The bank will provide a $10 million loan for a new PV module factory in Brazil by Pure Energy and Solinova, which will have a capacity of 40 megawatts when complete. Germany's Mounting Systems has acquired the Haticon brand and operations from aluminum supplier Sapa. Mounting Systems says that the acquisition will deliver valuable know-how in the rooftop racking market. Taiwan's largest cell maker grew substantially in 2014 despite U.S. duties. Neo Solar Power reports a 37% increase in revenues to $861 million, with record sales in December 2014. Morocco has awarded contracts to a consortium led by Saudi Arabia's Aqua Power to build 350 megawatts of concentrating solar power projects in the nation. Final financing arrangements for the Noor 2 and 3 projects in Ouarzazate were secured in December. Taiwan's Smotech Industries saw revenues fall 6% in 2014 to $626 million. As a major cell supplier to China, the company was hard hit by last year's imposition of U.S. solar duties on imports from China and Taiwan. GCL New Energy's project development subsidiaries have signed contracts to build 200 megawatts of solar PV in China. The 3 deals with EPC contractors Huazhong and First Electric are estimated to be worth $192 million. Spanish developer Fotovatio Renewable Ventures has secured an $82 million loan from the Inter-American Development Bank for a solar project in Uruguay. The 65-megawatt La Jacinta project will be the largest in the nation when complete. Trina Solar has connected a 90-megawatt solar project to the grid in western China. The project in Xinjiang uses around 300,000 Trina solar modules and has qualified for a 20-year contract under the nation's feed-in tariff. Technology news. Japan's Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry has requested a $780 million budget for a program to incentivize the deployment of energy efficiency and energy storage technologies. This will include energy storage at power plants and grid substations. Hanwha Q-Cells will begin evaluating Solatex atomic layer deposition or ALD equipment for potential use in high-efficiency PV cell designs. Solatex says that its spatial ALD solution for the passivation of crystalline silicon solar cells has a higher potential than plasma-enhanced chemical vapor deposition. South Korean researchers have achieved a record conversion efficiency of over 20% with a new perovskite formula as published in engineering magazine IEEE Spectrum. The researchers say their new blend also addresses some of the technology's problems with instability. That's all for today. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to meeting you next week.